consider this your tutorial on how to make Dr. Harvey's dog food for your loved ones. So today I am making for Mare, she has the Paradigm, and then for Dijon, and she is going to be eating the Veg 2 bowl. So we're gonna start with Mare. So Paradigm is specifically formulated for dogs that have experienced health issues because it is like jam-packed with a ton of really amazing nutrients. It is a little bit more expensive, but totally worth it. But just so you know here, the first ingredient in this one is broccoli, delicious. Also green beans, bone broth, red and green bell peppers, cabbage, pumpkin, celery, kelp, alfalfa, turmeric, ginger, red clover, dandelion, cinnamon, crushed eggshell, and then a ton of like amazing supplements and antioxidants and good stuff in there. The Paradigm comes with this little clear scoop. It is 39 milliliters, which is the equivalent of 8 teaspoons. And this one is a little bit more ground up than the vegetable, which I'll show you here shortly. But you get your handy little chart here that tells you for a serving, or sorry, for a day, this is how much a dog needs to eat. Now our dogs eat twice a day. So this is actually 2 servings for one day. And then I even went through, because I like to make it ahead of time, I have a handy little sheet where I've calculated like scoops to teaspoons to cups multiplied by 7 days in a week, etc. Just for easy calculations. The things that you need to be mindful of when you are cooking is that you will probably have helpers in the kitchen who are really excited for their delicious food, and they want to be as close to you as possible while you are cooking their nutritious and delicious food. Is that right, girls? Okay, so the first thing that we did was we measured out the amount of food. So for Mare, for 1 week, she needs 4.1 cups of the dry food and then 3.5 cups of hot water. So we're just gonna pour the hot water in there, and then we're gonna give it a good old mix. It says that it needs to sit for 8 to 12 minutes. Now what I have found for the Paradigm is that you can usually get away with doing 8 because it's pretty much ground up a lot already. The vegetable usually does need about the full 12. If you can see that, you got like a little bit more like bigger granules on the vegetable. It's not as finely ground. So that one I find does need to soak for a little bit longer and kind of rehydrate. So while I'm mixing that, I'll tell you for the vegetable, this one doesn't have quite as much when it comes to like supplements in it. The Paradigm is specifically formulated for dogs that have health issues. This is good for all dogs. The reason that we chose this one over like the Canine Health is because Canine Health has a ton of grain in it and not actually a lot of like other nutritious vegetables and whatnot. So ingredients in the vegetables is potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, green beans, celery, peas, beets, broccoli, crushed eggshell, and then a ton of delicious other supplements and whatnot. So it doesn't have quite as much as the Paradigm. Like we don't have like the ginger, the turmeric, or the pumpkin, red and green bell pepper, but you still do have a lot of delicious veggies in here. So once you add your water, you're going to let it sit again for 8 to 12 minutes. We also have in our Instant Pot back there, we're cooking some chicken. It does say to rotate proteins right here in the book. So change the type of protein you use about once a week. Meats, poultry, eggs, and fish have different compositions of amino acids, as well as different levels of fats, vitamins, and nutrients. So by mixing or interchanging different protein sources, dogs receive the nutritional benefits of all of these essential nutrients. So once the food has rehydrated with the hot water for 8 to 12 minutes, you can mix in the oil. It does say in the instructions that you can make like 3 days ahead of time and put it in the refrigerator, and then it's okay to mix in the oil. But if you're going to be meal prepping for like a longer time period, to not put the oil in if it's going to go into the freezer. So keep that in mind. Now, our vet does feed their dogs the same thing, and she will meal prep for them for an entire week and just put it in the fridge, and she says that it's fine. So we've been doing the same thing and it has been okay. So if I'm making a week's worth, I will put the oil in the bowl with the hydrated food. If we are going to be meal prepping for longer than a week, like say we're getting ready to go on vacation or something like that, the portion that goes in the freezer does not get the oil right away. You would put the oil in it upon serving. So for Mare, we have to have about 1/3 of a cup of oil. We use 2 different oils. So we have regular coconut oil, which has all of its fabulous health benefits. Everything that it does for humans, it also does for dogs. And then we also are supplementing with the omega-3 fish oil because this gives them a very shiny, amazing, soft coat. Our food has rehydrated. I have my oil here. So this is both the fish oil and the coconut oil melted together. So once this is all mixed up, the first time what I did was I put the chicken in here and mixed it all together and then put it into the individual cups. And I have found that that doesn't work great because when it comes to serving, you have some that have more chicken than others. Okay, so what we have found has worked really well. We did this the last time is once we get this all mixed up with the food and the water and the oil, don't put the chicken in there, but instead we have our little serving containers. So the small ones are for Mare, and then the big ones are for Dijon and Bunny because they have different serving sizes based on their age. So what I will do is I will get out my handy little food scale, put it on here. I take the total weight of everything that we just made and divide it by 14 since there's 14 meals in a week. And then I will put 1 serving in the cup. Now I put the food in first, and then once the chicken is done and we shred it all up and everything, I will go back through and I will put in the appropriate amount of chicken on top. And the reason that I do it in that order is because when we take their bowl and we go to put this on, then it makes the chicken on the bottom of the bowl and the nutritious, delicious Dr. Harvey's on the top. So that way they have to eat through the nutritious deliciousness in order to make it to the chicken. So I will show you that next. Okay, so I have measured out everything that is in this bowl on the scale, and I have divided that by 14 because that's how many meals we're making. And so I've estimated about 108 grams per meal, but you know, that includes all of the scrapings on the side. So I usually try to put a little bit less in so that way when I get to the last one, I'm not in a bad spot. So I have my handy little containers for Mare. So those go on the scale, and then I go ahead and I scoop in, check my weight. That one needs a little bit more. And usually by the time that I get to like the 4th or 5th one, I get like a pretty good idea. So that's like 106. So that one's good. Okay, so we are just going to wait for the chicken to finish cooking. And then while we do that, let's go ahead and whip up Dijon's food together. Okay, so now that we've got everything for the Dr. Harvey's food scooped into the small containers for Mare and the bigger containers for Dijon, because again, they have different serving size because they're different ages, then I will put it on the scale, turn the scale on so that way the scale is at 0. And then we have our chicken that Logan made, and we are going to fill them all up with chicken from here.
Oh boy!